Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. Well, the occasion was yesterday, India's 76th Independence Day. The Prime Ministers from the ramparts of the Red Fort attacked the opposition. Didn't quite name any party, not the Congress, not the TMC, but used certain words which clearly hit a raw word. Two words were used repeatedly where it came down, which many alleged were for the opposition. Bhrashtachar and Bhai Bhatijawad, Parivarwad, corruption and nepotism. The opposition hit back at the Prime Minister saying, what about 2017? Do you remember your speech by the ramparts of the Red Fort in 2017? You promised to double the income of farmers. Has it happened? You promised bullet trains. Has it happened? You promised housing to everyone. Has it happened? On India's 76th Independence Day, Prime Minister Modi from the ramparts of the Red Fort launched a fresh attack on the opposition. The attack was fresh, the charge was the same. Bhrashtachar, Bhai Bhatijawad.
जब मैं भाई भतीजावाद परिवारवाद की बात करता हूं तो लोगों को लगता है मैं सिर्फ राजनीतिक क्षेत्र की बात करता हूं। जी नहीं, दुर्भाग्य से राजनीतिक क्षेत्र की उस बुराई ने हिंदुस्तान की हर संस्थाओं में परिवारवाद को पोषित कर दिया है। परिवारवाद हमारी अनेक संस्थाओं को अपने में लपेटे हुए है और इसके कारण मेरे देश की टैलेंट को नुकसान होता है, मेरे देश के सामर्थ्य को नुकसान होता है। जिनके पास अवसर की संभावनाएं हैं वो परिवारवाद, भाई भतीजे के बाद बाहर रह जाता है।
Since 2014, Bhrashtachar, corruption, is a word that the Prime Minister has used in all his Independence Day speeches, barring 2020. Nepotism, dynastic politics, with Parivarwad and Bhai Bhatijawad have been recent additions, words to corner the opposition.
जो लोग पिछली सरकारों में बैंकों को लूट करके भाग गए, उनकी संपत्तियां जब्त करके वापस लाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। कईयों को जेलों में जीने के लिए मजबूर करके रखा हुआ है। हमारी कोशिश है जिन्होंने देश को लूटा है उनको लौटाना पड़े, वो स्थिति हम पैदा करें।
Corruption and nepotism, twin evils if not dealt with, could become formidable challenges of the future, said the Prime Minister, including a whale jibe at the TMC on the recent piles of cash recovered from one of its own sacked ministers, Partha Chatterjee.
और कई लोग तो इतनी बेशर्मी तक चले जाते हैं कि कोर्ट में सजा हो चुकी हो, भ्रष्टाचारी सिद्ध हो चुका हो, जेल जाना तय हो चुका हो, जेल गुजार रहे हो, उसके बावजूद भी उनका महिमा मंडन करने में लगे रहते हैं, उनकी शान शौकत में लगे रहते हैं, उनकी प्रतिष्ठा बनाने में लगे रहते हैं।
75th birth anniversary.
The opposition hit back, asking the PM to come good on old promises he made in his Independence Day speech way back in 2017, where by 15th August 2022, the Prime Minister had promised housing for all, doubling the income of farmers, 2 crore jobs every year, bullet trains.
In 8 years, corruption is at its nadir. So who's responsible if not Mr. Narendra Modi? The Bhai Bhatijawad, the family rule, plagues the Bharatiya Janata Party in every state. On 75th birth anniversary, this doesn't bode well. I agree with the Prime Minister that corruption and Bhai Bhatijawad are at its nadir, but the man responsible for them is Mr. Narendra Modi.
This time around, no announcement was made by the Prime Minister on any social sector, where he focused on the idea of the future, the subtext, setting the narrative and pushing BJP's party line. A speech made 2 months before elections in the state of Gujarat and Himachal. Will the opposition be able to shake off the Bhrashtachari Parivarwad tag? Or will, once again, these very words eclipse the no accountability charge made by the opposition. Bureau Report, India Today. So viewers, Bhrashtachar, Parivarwad are not new words to the Prime Minister when it comes even to his address from the ramparts of the Red Fort on Independence Day. Ever since he's taken over as the Prime Minister of India in 2014, he's used practically both words many times over, especially to attack the opposition. This time the opposition says, forget about everything. What about the promises you've made from right there, the ramparts of the Red Fort? For our face-off tonight, I want to cut across to our guests. I have Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. We'd be joined by Supriya Shrinate, Spokesperson, Congress. Sushmita Dev, Rajya Sabha MP, TMC, would also be joining us. Ms. Verma, the opposition says, you know, you've used the word Bhrashtachar, you've used the word Parivarwad, Bhai Bhatijawad. What about the word promises? When will you come good on the promises that you have made from the same ramparts of the Red Fort that you attacked the opposition with? 2017, the Prime Minister had stood at Red Fort and he had promised bullet trains, doubling the income of farmers, housing for all, was just some of the few promises he had made.
Preeti, good to be on your show after quite a bit. First and foremost, let me tell you that when the Prime Minister speaks of a full-scale war against Bhrashtachar, as in corruption, this is not mere rhetoric for us. When we say zero tolerance for corruption, na khaunga, na khane dunga, it is an abiding work ethic and not a mere platitude for the Modi government, and I'll tell you why. The names of Nirav Modi, Mehul Chokshi, Vijay Mallya come up in every debate pertaining to corruption and what has the Modi government done. So let me tell you, in the highest court in, the UK, Mallya and Nirav Modi have lost their cases, and we are hopeful that via extradition they will come back. But the more important point is that these three gentlemen, I'm being kind to them by calling them gentlemen, Mehul Chokshi, Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya, owe the Indian banking system in excess of 19,000 crores. And Nirmala Sitharaman on the floor of the parliament has said that we have actually monetized assets worth more than 23,000 crore belonging to these three fraudsters. Point number one. Point number two, I think when you speak of promises, you mentioned farmers. You look at PM Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, more than 2 lakh crore has been given to more than 12 lakh farmers. You look at PM Fasal Bima Yojana, at a premium of barely 2 or 2.5%, more than 6 crore farmers have price guarantee. You look at the e-NAM portal, where the volume is to the tune of 1.22 lakh crore, and it realizes better price discovery for farmers across 1,000 mandis which are electronically linked. You look at Jal Jeevan Mission, more than 9 crore rural households have access to clean, piped drinking water. You and me are aware, Preeti, that prior to 2014, the average sanitation rate in India was a measly 39%. I am so proud as a tax-paying Indian to say that today the sanitation rate is more than 97 to 98% in terms of access to facilities. So be it the 11 crore plus Swachh Bharat toilets that have been built, be it the 31 crore LPG gas connections which stood at just about 14 crore prior to 2014, be it 73,000 startups where 45% are women entrepreneurs, be it the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, where we built more than 2 crore homes for rural poor and more than 1 crore for urban poor are at various phases of implementation. Tell me, has the Modi government not ensured last mile delivery, something on the lines of what Deen Dayal Upadhyay said decades back? We've done more than what
Sanju Verma, I want to bring in Supriya Shrinate, but you made certain points and I just want to come back with that. You said, you spoke about 3 individuals, Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, Mehul Chokshi. The counter to that, Ms. Verma, is that all 3 of them escaped during the BJP rule. Not just 3 of them, 23 fugitives, financial fugitives have left India under the BJP rule. Now, when it comes to bank fraud, now this is an RTI that I'm quoting, this is data by the government, has been unprecedented in terms of just the, the fraud that has taken place. I will give you a figure, between 2014 to 2018, 23,000 bank fraud cases in the country. It cuts both ways, one would say.
So can I just take 10 seconds to reply to you, Preeti, since you made a very pertinent point? Yeah. Preeti, you know, it is because we have Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government that you and me are actually talking about bank fraud. Under the erstwhile Congress dispensation, you know, they used to window dress loans. And, you know, every loan defaulter was given more loans to just hide existing loans. That is called zombie loaning. So under the Modi government, at least you are aware, I'm sure that more than 8.6 lakh crore worth of assets have been recovered from errant borrowers. And this is not a figure I'm quoting off my hat. This is publicly documented. 8
it's
recovered.
It's information through the RTI, but all those 3 fugitives you named fled under the BJP's rule. We'll come back to that. You made some
for the 8.6 lakh crore that has come back.
You've made some points on that. Can I, ma'am, with your permission, I want to bring in your other 2 panelists as well. Supriya Shrinate, the Prime Minister did not name the Congress when it came down to Bhai Bhatijawad, Parivarwad. Why so touchy is what the BJP is asking.
But that's not what I'm touchy about this evening. What I'm touchy about this evening is that when the Prime Minister was addressing the nation on an occasion as solemn as celebrating our 75 years of independence, I was very happy that he spoke about the dignity of women. But there were 2 things that followed. Did Mr. Modi forget the own words that he has used? कांग्रेस की विधवा 50 करोड़ की गर्लफ्रेंड शूप न खा लड़की की फोटो लगा दो अचार के डब्बे पे खूब बिकेगा ये तो प्रधानमंत्री के शब्द हैं and what followed the prime minister says dignity of women should be respected and on the very same day 11 rapists of Bilkis Bano, a woman who was 5 months pregnant, 3 of her children were killed, her mother was raped, she was raped, her rapists are set free by the BJP government in Gujarat. That boils my blood because I think dignity of women is non-partisan. I was happy he spoke about dignity of women. It's another thing that he needs to keep his mouth shut and start reining in some of his own people and also practice caution when he talks about women and more so in public life. But what followed? प्रधानमंत्री नारी सम्मान की बात कर रहे हैं और गुजरात में 11 बलात्कारियों को छोड़ दिया जाता है 21 साल की 5 महीने की गर्भवती औरत का उन्होंने रेप किया था और वहां पर बाहर उनको मिठाई खिलाई जा रही है ये आजादी की जंग लड़के आए हैं लोग व्हाट आर वी टॉकिंग अबाउट एंड फॉर हाउ लॉन्ग will this duplicity last forget about what he said on corruption you've been in government for 8 years 8 साल में सरकार में होने के बाद प्रधानमंत्री जी मुड़ के कहते हैं मुझे 130 करोड़ लोगों की मदद चाहिए 8 साल से सत्ता में आप हैं आपकी नाक के नीचे से फ्यूजिटिव्स एक के बाद एक देश छोड़कर भाग रहे हैं आप 30% रिकवरी भी नहीं कर पा रहे हैं लोन राइट ऑफ कर रहे हैं आप पूंजीपतियों को मदद कर रहे हैं और यहां पर आकर आप इस तरह की बातें करिएगा I first want an answer from the BJP on only one issue and that is about women. Okay. How on earth could you release rapists on 15th of August while we are celebrating 75 years of our independence and the Prime Minister लाल किले की प्राचीर से खड़े होकर नारी सम्मान की बात करते और रेपिस्ट को खुला छोड़ते हैं?
May I bring in Sushmita Deb and I'll go back to Sanju Verma. It's a 2:1. I just want to put the record there. I will go to Sushmita Deb and go back to Sanju Verma on this. Sushmita Deb, you know, the fact is the Prime Minister spoke about Bhrashtachar, corruption. It's a little rich for the TMC to, you know, come out with a counter because just 2 weeks ago, all that was flush in terms of pictures was the money that was recovered from Mr. Chatterjee's house, your former minister.
You see, let me make it very clear that Chief Minister of Bengal has made it categorical that she has complete faith in the legal system and there will be zero tolerance against corruption. You see, we do not have a problem with the ED or the CBI going after corrupt people. But anybody who's in the BJP, okay, Shubhendu Adhikari, who is a member of parliament on the BJP, there are videos of him taking money. Have you raided him? Jharkhand, 2 MLAs were caught with cash. 1 MLA has given a FIR. I am not saying it. That the Chief Minister of Assam is giving cash for MLAs. Have you raided? Have you raided Hemanta Biswa Sharma? There is evidence to say that there is something worth investigation with the PPE kits with Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma. Did you raid them? So look, if you talk about zero tolerance of corruption by Prime Minister Modi and the BJP, then you can't look away from cases like Vyapam. You can't look away from cases of companies with thousands of crores scam just because they're giving you a donation in your election. So please, the last thing I need is a moral lecture, a moral high ground from a Prime Minister from the Red Fort who is himself, his track record is dubious when it comes to investigating people in the BJP.
I'm coming to you, Ms. Verma. Like I said, I'm going to come to you for a rebuttal. Right. So, Ms. Verma, two charges. One laid by Supriya Shrinate. Yesterday, the Prime Minister talked about Nari Shakti. Today, Bilkis Bano's rapists, murderers, all 11 of them, remission given by the Gujarat government. Number two, the charge laid by Sushmita Dev. It's all okay to talk about corruption, but look at your own.
You know, Preeti, let me first tell the TMC, you know, more than 120 crores of tax recovered from Partha Chatterjee, you know, who was once upon a time, till as recently.
Please reply on Shubhendu Adhikari's
Yes,
video.
Ma'am, let's go one by one. Ms. Dev, let's go one by one because nobody is going to understand anyone. I will just get, I'll come back to you. I promise I'll come back to you. Ms. Verma, make your point.
Yeah, Sushmita Dev, please learn to listen. The debate is not just about you ranting off. You know, Preeti, Partha Chatterjee is a man who was the education minister. Imagine, more than 120 crores worth of cash and billions of gold coins, foreign currency, not legally documented, recovered from his residence. Mamta Banerjee knew that
not
for the
from
last
his residence.
7 years, Mamta Banerjee, please keep quiet, it's not your turn.
Can I just get Ms. Verma? Ms. Dev, I'll come back to you. No point. You know, this is only derailed debate.
Tolerate lies.
Yeah. Preeti, the fact is, Mamta Banerjee washed her hands of Partha Chatterjee saying, we do not support corruption. I want to just ask one question, Preeti. When the SSC education scam broke out last year, Mamta Banerjee removed Partha Chatterjee as the education minister. But do you know what she did? She promoted him. She gave him the industries ministry. She gave him the IT ministry. She gave him the transport ministry. So the fact is that corruption has been incentivized under the Mamata Banerjee government. Now look at Anubrata Mandal. He is called the TMC Bahubali in Birbhum district. Anubrata Mandal is accused in 1,000 crore cattle smuggling.
Sanju Verma, ma'am, you made your point. Ma'am, you talk about Mr. Mondal. Who is Suvendu Adhikari then?
Then let me come.
If we are talking about Bahubalis, who is Suvendu Adhikari?
He's a thief. Suvendu Adhikari is a thief on camera. For the
Yes, ma'am, please. Ma'am, I am only interjecting you. It's my duty to do so as the moderator. Ms. Verma, two accounts I'll ask you. Two accounts I'll ask you again on what the TMC charged you of what about your own, Suvendu Adhikari, Himanta Biswa Sarma, the Vyapam scam where the Madhya Pradesh government was indicted, and what Supriya Shrinate said. You talk about Nari Shakti. Today the Gujarat government frees the gang rapists of Bilkis Bano. Yes, please go ahead and then I'll go back to Supriya Shrinate and come back to Ms. Dev.
Preeti, you already said I 2 versus 1. I hope you will at least be neutral. You know, I more than welcome your interjections. That is what you need to do as an anchor. But let me tell you one thing. You know, Mamata Banerjee is the state chief minister who refused to implement Pradhan Mantri Kisan in West Bengal. She refused to implement Ayushman Bharat. West Bengal has the highest illiteracy rate, the highest unemployment rate, the highest state inflation rate, the lowest per capita GDP. I'm sure the TMC panelists cannot even name 5 new industries that have come up in West Bengal in the last 10 or 11 years. She should stop lecturing the Bharatiya Janata Party. As far as Supriya Shrinate is concerned, you know, I'm somebody who feels that as far as women-related issues go, Preeti, we need to be completely unbiased, non-partisan, cutting across political ideology. I agree to that. But does not Supriya Shrinate know that just recently P.P. Madhavan, the personal secretary of Sonia Gandhi, has been accused of rape? Does she not know that last week P.V. Krishna Kumar, the Congress councillor from Kannur, has been accused of rape, and Rahul Gandhi has not even tweeted to express regret? Supriya Shrinate is giving a bhashan.
Right, I'll go to Supriya. I will go to Supriya Shrinate, but I'll ask you that question. How does that change? How does, Madam? I will ask. Madam, I will ask. You've got the maximum time. I'm going to Supriya Shrinate, but I will ask you that question again. You might have given the list of accusations, but I will ask you a question. How does that change the Gujarat government giving a remission to the 11 gang rapists and murderers of Bilkis Bano and her family?
No, Preeti, you have asked me a question. You know, you will get a Bharatiya Janata Party rebuttal on that officially from the Gujarat state headquarters. But,
fair enough.
But at the same time, Preeti, I hope you will ask Supriya Srinath, why is it that Ashok Gehlot last year on the floor of the parliament said that Dalit women are not being raped in Rajasthan? They actually compromise and then they come and make false allegations. This is a shame statement made against Dalit women who are gang raped.
Okay.
And Ashok Gehlot sitting in the floor.
Madam, you asked that question. May I just... Okay, you've asked that question. May I take it to Supriya Srinath? Supriya Srinath, please come in. You've been wanting to come in for a rebuttal. Go ahead.
I just have some things to say to your viewers and let them decide. प्रधानमंत्री 15 अगस्त को खड़े होकर क्या कहते हैं? हमारी कार्यशैली में महिलाओं के लिए खराब शब्द आ गए हैं, which means we've become abusive of women. The Prime Minister heckles the woman Chief Minister by going to Bengal and saying, Didi, oh Didi. The Prime Minister calls
one by one, please, one by one.
Former Prime Minister, Congress.
Ms. Verma, I'll come back to you. Ms. Verma, I will give you the last word.
Keep quiet.
Can I just get Ms. Srinath?
Ms. Verma, and listen to me. Keep quiet. Talk about women if you have the guts to talk about women. Don't do lip sympathy here. Prime Minister heckles a woman Chief Minister, Didi oh Didi. He calls the widow of a former Prime Minister, Congress ki vidwa. He calls the mother and an elected MP, Jansi Guy. He calls a wife, 50 crore ki girlfriend. This man has the audacity to lecture the country on dignity of women. This is what
I'm coming to you, madam. Can I just get Supriya Srinath and I will go back to Sanju Verma for a rebuttal after that. Supriya Srinath.
You have no morality. I am asking a question. Kuldeep Singh Sengar was your MLA, found guilty of rape and murder. The Gujarat guys who have been released have been found guilty of rape. What are you talking about? You are going to correct somebody for accusing. What nonsense are you saying here? Apologize to this country.
Okay.
माफी मांगो देश से. नरेंद्र मोदी अगर हिम्मत है तो आज देश में जो गुजरात में हुआ है
Sanju Verma wanted to come in once again.
स्मृति ईरानी आए टीवी पर और माफी मांगे.
Okay, I will go back to Sanju Verma and then I will go to Sushmita Dev.
About women.
Yes, okay. You made your point, Ms. Srinath. Sanju Verma, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal. Go ahead.
About women. No, Preeti. This is about women and their dignity.
Okay.
We cannot make
Madam, we've heard you.
of this.
Ms. Srinath, we've heard you. Let me just get Sanju Verma. You know, I'm trying very hard to get both of you to be heard. You want to be heard. You want to be heard. I'm trying very hard that both of you are heard. Sanju Verma, go. Sanju Verma, do get Sanju Verma. Go ahead, Sanju Verma, make your point.
Preeti, now I want my lone screen time. You know, Supriya Srinath has not answered Sonia Gandhi's personal secretary, P.P. Madhavan, accused of rape. Rahul Gandhi accused of rape.
There is a difference between being accused and found guilty. Does this woman not understand? Or is her moral bankruptcy so high? That's the question we need to ask this woman. You are a woman and you have to actually not...
Can I just get Ms. Verma? Can I just get Ms. Verma? Can I just get her? Ms. Verma, make your point. I will go to Ms. Deb and I will go back to Ms. Srinath.
I will speak only if I am on screen.
Ms. Verma, make your point, ma'am. Then I will go to Ms. Deb. Everybody take a deep breath.
Are you the producer?
Madam, I've just given you free... Ms. Verma, go ahead. Can I just get Ms. Verma? Go ahead, Ms. Verma.
Thank you. Preeti, Supriya Srinath is the last person who should sit on judgment on the Prime Minister of this country. Their own leader, Rahul Gandhi, till date, has not disclosed what was his role in the Sukanya Singh gang rape case. Be it Bhavri Devi, be it Geetika Sharma, be it Jessica Lal, be it Sarita Nair, be it Kalpana Giri. In every case of sexual assault,
Madam, those cases have not seen the day in court. Those cases have not seen the day in court. Those cases have not seen the day in court. You and I both know that. Madam, those cases have not seen the day in court. Sushmita Dev, I will come back to you, Ms. Srinath. Sushmita Dev, may I just get Sushmita Dev, please? Ms. Dev, you wanted to come in. You've been very patient. Go ahead, madam. Can I just get Ms. Dev? Mr. Nate, I will
Yeah,
come back to you.
I just want to tell your viewers, please note that the BJP mouthpiece has not been able to answer anything I've raised on Shubhendu Adhikari, who is a Bengal politician, and there's a video of him accepting money, and there are enough allegations to be investigated against the purchase of MLAs, and there's an FIR pending about the involvement of the Chief Minister of Assam. No answer on that. See, Preeti, since we are debating what the Prime Minister has said on 15th of August, what a Prime Minister should have said is, why is it that he could not give housing to all by 2022? That is a loud announcement made by the nothing short of a Prime Minister himself. A Prime Minister basically has no answer to the toll promises, to the inflation, to the unemployment, none of this. So he gave a rhetorical speech. No one should be even debating it. And Mr. Modi, although he holds the highest office, has been heard making the most demeaning and, if I may so say, the tasteless comments on women. To say 50 crore ki girlfriend, can you imagine a Prime Minister talking like that? Today, Ms. Verma can say whatever she likes. She's just a spokesperson. It doesn't matter what she says. But the highest office, doing a cat call, I think Prime Minister Modi should be talking about.
No point talking over each other.
Why he has failed on Jal Jeevan? Why he has
Okay, Ms. Dev, you've made your point. I am going to go by the clock. 1 minute, I will get Sanju Verma and I'll ask our PCR to cut the faders down of others. Sanju Verma, you have 1 minute, madam. Go ahead. You wanted to come in for a counter. You didn't wait for your turn, but go ahead. 1 minute.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you so much. Preeti, you know, I have said this on umpteen debates. Maybe Sushmita Dev is hard of hearing. If there is a case against Shubhendu Adhikari where he is found guilty, then the law should take its course. The BJP will not try to intervene. At the same time, I want to ask Sushmita Dev, why has she not spoken out against Anuprasha Mandal? Why has she not spoken out against Partha Chatterjee? TMC said Mukul Roy is corrupt when he was in the BJP. The moment Mukul Roy went to TMC, you know, he became king. So Sushmita Dev should not give a bhashan to the BJP. And let me tell the Congress, you know, every single defense scam, be it the 1948 Jeep scam, the 1981 submarine scam under Indira Gandhi, the Bofo scam under Rajiv Gandhi 1986, the Augusta...
Okay, 1 minute, Supriya Shrinate closing. Can I just get Supriya Shrinate, please? May I just get Supriya Shrinate? Supriya Shrinate, you have 1 minute, madam. Please make your point.
I just have a very brief point to make. The Prime Minister is right. In the last 8 years of his government, corruption has quadrupled, if not gone up 100 times. Why? This is a message he is delivering to his cadres. He is telling people, जब मैं चुनी हुई सरकारें गिरा रहा हूं, जब मैं MLAs का खरीद फरोख्त कर रहा हूं, when I am horse trading, and my finance minister is by mistake saying horse trading instead of horse racing, that's how much it is important. इसलिए corruption करना कम है. आप लोगों को खरीद फरोख्त रहे हैं, चुनी हुई सरकारों को गिरा रहे हैं, आप करप्शन पे भाषण देंगे. करप्शन के बारे में पता करना है, गुजरात के ड्रग स्कैम को, गुजरात के ड्रग को, डीलिंग को खोलिए, तब आपको करप्शन पता चलेगा.
I am with that.
Make empty words. 82 minutes, nothing of substance.
With that, may I take your leave, all three ladies, and I hope all of you have got an equal turn. I appreciate all three of you for joining us. Well, you know, I have timed it, and it was a 2:1. The BJP spokesperson did get a little more time, but that's understandable. We leave it for our viewers to decide on what side of this political debate do they stand on.